You're on 94.5 FM Larrakia Radio. My name is Calum, and in the studio at the moment with us, we have a very special guest, and thank you very much for joining us today. It is the Chief Minister of the Northern Territory, Michael Gunner. Good afternoon.
G'day, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us, Chief Minister, and we'll be discussing a lot of things that are going on, not only in the Northern Territory, but with you as well, I guess. Let's just quickly start off. Are you a fisherman? I'm sure you've fished a few times.
I'm a
in
social
the
fisherman. I'm the third person in the tinny.
Oh, yes?
And so usually like a mate like Tony would organise a trip. I jump in. It's usually his equipment. And had a great conversation the other day about the $1 million barra.
Yeah.
Who gets the winnings depending on who catches it. And Tony, as a skipper, often doesn't have his rod in the water. I'm a big believer that if you catch the $1 million barra, you've got to share the proceeds with the skipper of the boat.
I guess, but only one person has to come back from a boating trip, right?
I can't condone that.
So the $1 million fish has been going off fairly well, and a lot of tourism has come to the Northern Territory thanks to it. And 7 fish have been caught so far. That's $70,000 that's been given out.
It's a very good contest. And I like the fact that people have jumped on it out of season now, saying if you catch one of those red tags and the $1 million fish time is over, and it's not over yet, sure. Please go, fish, catch it. They're honouring it outside the fish time too.
Yeah. No, so it's a great project, and it's good for people out there, that's for sure. Now, a big thing that has happened in Darwin, a lot of people have been noticing it throughout our cityscape itself, it's the revitalization for the CBD. I've seen murals and art being painted on the side of buildings that were kind of a little bit drab in the past, but now it's kind of an exercise for people out there to go for a walk and just experience these new things. And I believe tomorrow there's going to be a big day for the CBD as well, is that right?
Absolutely, Darwin Street Art Festival. Tomorrow, open day in the CBD. We're going to be talking about some of our plans for the Darwin city, both in terms of infrastructure or the physical nature of the city, and that's either the built form, like building new things, or taking what was a blank canvas of a wall and turning it into art. And we also want to talk about events and experiences. So the things that you do in the CBD, whether it's the markets or music, live music in our laneways, we want to have a conversation about that. So we've put a lot of money into things. Like we've helped pay for the painting of the walls, and we've put on some live music festivals in the CBD. So we've done some of that. We want you to come in and give us your feedback about what is it you want to see in your city. Are those things that we're doing working? Is that what you like? Do you like the transformation of Austin Lane? And Austin Lane's a good example. We've got a plan that we'll be talking about tomorrow. You can come have a look at it. How do you make Austin Lane more usable for the public? Cafes or street art or cooling it down, or like we've seen in other cities around the world. Melbourne's often talked about as an example. A laneway that's not just a service lane for a couple of vans doing deliveries, but actually becomes a functional part of the CBD and an exciting place to go. How do we do that? And Austin Lane, I think, is a great place to start, and we're going to have that conversation with Territorians tomorrow.
Okay. Whereabouts is Austin Lane for those that are out there?
Austin Lane runs parallel to the mall.
Yes.
And it ends up at, say, Edmund Street.
Yep.
And up to Bennett. So,
I see. Yes.
Yep. So right near us where we are right now, right near your studios.
So people get the opportunity to actually see new art. Is there people have been chosen already for those who are going to be painting?
So we've got 8 projects happening at the moment, which is where we've paired a territory artist with an interstate artist to do a mural on the wall. So if you walk down Austin Lane, there's a fantastic one going up on the blank wall near the RSL. There's one out the back of Galleria, which is finches, big birds.
Yep.
Birds are quite popular. There's one on the Monsoons wall as well. So there's 8 different canvases as part of the Street Art Fair, plus the Rugby League World Cup mural that we've already done at the top of Kavanagh, very close to you as well. So there's 8 canvases out there. There's a map to those, so you can go check them all out. And if you go to our CBD location at the top of the mall, we've got a shop front there that's popped up at the bottom of the Pasparley building. We've got all the information around these things. There'll be a way for you to be able to give your opinion there. So a survey form, what do you think? What excites you about the CBD? What else can we do? So there will be that at the top of the mall.
Fantastic. So the suggestions are open.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Now, teachers are a huge thing, and I know that I know a lot of teachers. My mother is a teacher. She's
fantastic.
One of those people. So it is a important day coming up very soon for teachers as well. Isn't that right?
What school does your mum teach at?
She taught, I should say, at Hodson Down. She was a principal for a long while.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, which is a community. It's about 300 k's south of Catherine, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So World Teacher Day is an opportunity to celebrate our teachers, and I make the effort when I go out to my schools to acknowledge all the staff that support teachers too. That's acknowledged a lot of them. They've got a huge responsibility. We leave our kids with them for 12 plus years to look after them, educate them, raise them up to be great adults. For me, in my lecture, we dropped off cupcakes. So you always got to find a little way to thank them on the day. Everyone else has got the different way. So we do a certificate and some cupcakes. But if you see a teacher today, take the effort to say thank you.
Of course. Do you have any teachers in your life that you...
My sister is a teacher at Dakara Primary School. And I often get people coming up and asking me if I'm related to Mrs. Gunner. And that's my sister.
Fantastic. Well, that's good. And of course, if you have any teachers out there that you know of or any family members who have taught in the past, just say thank you. It's a small thing that we can do. It means a lot to them as well.
Oh, yeah. It's powerful. Taking the time, 10 seconds, to look someone in the eye and say, thank you for what you do for my kid, could have a transformative effect on that teacher.
And if there are students out there, they're human beings. They have feelings too. It was a hard thing for me in school to figure that one out. Now, a huge thing that is going to be happening fairly soon, has only just been announced, is the Palmerston Police Station, which I think is long overdue.
That's right. And it's going to really change policing in Palmerston. The current police station in Palmerston is built for 50 police.
Sure.
The new one will be built for 200, and it will have state-of-the-art watch house. So at the moment, if Palmerston Police pick somebody up, they bring them into the Darwin cells and they're looked after in here in the CBD. That takes the car off the road for at least an hour.
Yeah.
And that's because when you're a police officer and you pick somebody up, you still got a duty of care to that person. They've got to be looked after in a cell of a certain standard. And Palmerston didn't have that, and they will as part of this building. It'll be in the suburbs of Palmerston, so just outside the CBD. Police have got a software program that works out the best place to put stations. So I think it's called Workforce Optimization, Strategic Planning or something, WASP. Anyway, but it's a scientific program that works out response time. So that site they identified as the best one for them to be able to get out to the Stuart Highway or get out to that part of Palmerston. So they're very serious police about where they want their police station. But a new approach, and I want to applaud police for this, they want to build a community hall into the police station. So this will be new for the Northern Territory. Police are obviously part of our community. They take the uniform off and they're a member of the community like all of us. But often our interaction with police, if we have one, is at an RBT or because an incident has occurred. It's a very formal, serious relationship. And so a bit like Blue Light Disco in the past or other avenues, police want to have a way that they can interact with the community that's not that. It's not the RBT. It's not a serious situation. It's a community interaction.
So like a PCYC, basically. Police and Citizens Youth Club.
So if you're in Palmerston and you want to have an event in a community hall, or it's a dance or it's a public meeting or something, you call the police and say, can we hire your community hall, and you're there. The police are part of the community that's built in. They've got a different kind of relationship with you. They're trying to do this with having a cup of a copper. If that make no coffee with a cup. I'm getting it wrong now. Coffee with a copper. So they'll shout you a cup of coffee and sit down with you and have a chat. So they're trying to find different ways to work with the community that just isn't dial 13144 and I've got a problem down there in my street.
And the best thing is you wouldn't have to hire security for that event, would you?
It'd be a very safe event.
But so you were saying that the current police station currently holds the capacity of 50 police officers and the new one will be 200. Is that increase of police force necessary in Palmerston?
Yeah, so at the moment, if police want to do a specialist unit or task force or an operation or, Task Force Trident or Operation Sonoma or something like that, they can't base it in Palmerston because the police station isn't up to standard for that. So they'll now have the ability to say, with this particular property crime operation or something around youth, they can actually base it out of Palmerston, which they can't do that at the moment. So that's a positive. It means you'll be able to police will be able to make the operational decision to base police, all their operations, all their task forces in Palmerston if it needs to be in Palmerston.
Okay. Well, this is a good thing. I think the people in Palmerston really appreciate new facilities for the police at the very least. Now, a big thing that I've just been reading recently that was been passed on to us is the idea of grants being hopefully handed out to people in communities for the increase in higher quality services. That's for, sewerage and things along those lines. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so if you're out there, right part of the territory at the moment, this is through the local government department, you can put in for a grant, forklift, something like that. There's a bit of equipment you need to help look after your local community, or if you want to upgrade your sewage or your septics, there's a grant out there now to improve the services of the community that you live in. It's worth $4.5 million, so it's a reasonable sized grant pool. If you as a community have an idea that you want to be able to access to improve the community you live in, as you pointed, higher quality services, that money's there. Please make an application. Please apply.
Fantastic. And of course, another big thing that's still going on, and a lot of people are still curious on updates and how the project is going, it's Room to Breathe, which is about increasing the actual spaces in houses in Aboriginal communities, and of course our people out there, and the Our Family, Our Future, Our Homes. Do you mind giving a little bit of an update on what's happening there?
Absolutely. So the Room to Breathe program, which I think a lot of people are familiar with now, I'll use Nooka as an example. So in Nooka, there were around 70 new homes built through the CHIP program, or the National Partnership Program from the Australian government. Solid brick 3-bedders, but they're all basically the same, and they weren't designed around the family that was living in it. It was just a good solid 3-bedder home, and the only roof it had was really for the car that parked in the driveway. And I thought it was a great example. You looked at it and you thought, for just a little bit of money, you could sit down with that family and say, right, there's actually 6 or 7 of you that live here. Oh, you need one more bedroom. Well, for a little bit of money, we can add that bedroom, or we can add the outdoor kitchen, or we can add one extra toilet. Each family needed a slightly different house. So instead of building a whole brand new house, how do we sit down with that family and the house they got a couple of years back and say, how do we make this house work for you? And we want to all be done by locals. So the person living in the house gets to decide what they want done to the house. A local gets to build and work on the house. And we're out in Ramingining and with the Arnhem Land Progress Association, fantastic Indigenous company, ALPA, and one of the houses was being worked on so that Aunt Rosie was in the house. Her nephews were doing all the work. And I can tell you, it was being done quicker than it was programmed to be done. She was very demanding with the nephews. They knew exactly what she wanted and when she wanted it, and it was going to be done not just on time, it was going to be done under time and definitely under budget. And she was very happy about the fact she's going to get an extra bedroom on her house. So
that's fantastic.
It really is an important initiative. She already had thoughts about how else she could extend onto the house. And that's what we want, people to have control of their lives and control of the house that they live in. And Room to Breathe is a way of doing that. And we've up past 150 of those little projects now. But each one of those projects changes someone's life, a whole family's life. And I think that's really important.
Excellent. And the other one was, of course, Our Family, Our Future, Our Homes, which is an increase for, I believe, housing and communities as well. Yeah.
And that again, it's about our whole housing policy is designed around how can we improve the home you live in, but give you control of that. And we've got 5 different elements to it. The one that gets talked about most is Room to Breathe, but there's a whole suite of things out there. And if you want more information, give us a call anytime. Happy to talk about it. Happy to help you through how we can make the house you live in better.
Okay, so what's your mobile number? No. And of course, let's end this on a high. So GST funding, any updates?
Well, it's probably the wrong high. This is very important for people living remotely. Hugely important for people living remotely. So the Productivity Commission has just handed down a report saying that we should change the way we fund the Northern Territory or Western Australia or South Australia. And at the moment, the principle is equality. So we say that someone in Yuendamu should be treated equally with someone in Geelong, equally. And I think that's very important.
Okay.
Now they're saying it should be a reasonable level of service. So someone in Yuendamu should receive a reasonable level of service. Now, I'm not comfortable with that. I think it completely changes the way we work as a nation, and all Australians should be treated equally, not reasonably. And this is
So it's kind of putting a price on people's head, the value of life.
Absolutely. So now you start saying, that's a reasonable service. You don't deserve any more than that in Yuendamu. That's reasonable. And we know for a fact it's just more expensive to deliver a health service in Yuendamu than it is to deliver a health service in Geelong. Doesn't mean we're less equal as Australians, though. And what worries me is this is not a national policy. This is a policy for the east coast of Australia or people living down south. We have to be very careful how we treat with each other as Australians, and all Australians should be treated equally. And we are in a massive fight around our GST at the moment. All Australians should be treated equally. That's just a principle. I don't think we can walk away from that. That's what binds us together as a nation. And we are in danger at the moment from an Australian government who is walking away from that. I can't believe we're having this debate.
Sure.
All Australians are equal, and they should be funded equally, and that's the fight we're going to have as a territory.
So what are you going to be doing as our Chief Minister?
So I've met with the Prime Minister about this. Our Treasurer met with the Federal Treasurer yesterday about this, and in fact there's a breakdown now in how states talk to the Commonwealth. We've formed a breakaway Treasurers group.
Okay.
We are in a massive fight with the Australian government about properly funding and paying for services in this country, and it's a fight of principle. No Australian should be treated any other way than equal with any other Australian. And so we're in a massive, massive fight here. And it may take a change of government to fix this, but we will not accept any deal from the Australian government that treats any Territorian as less than equal.
Have you been receiving any support from outside of our state or people that are understanding completely of where you're coming from?
I believe a lot of Australians will support this. This is a change that I don't think most Australians are aware of yet, that this is the recommendations of the Productivity Commission. So we're going to have to do an awareness campaign, but I've got absolutely no doubt that other Australians will be appalled at the idea that Australians are not being treated equally. I think this goes to the core of who we are. I'm very comfortable this is a fight that we can win, but it's also a fight we have to have and we can't walk away from.
So what changes have occurred because of this change in GST for the NT? Like, what are we missing out on is what I'm saying.
So it hasn't flowed yet. So under the current funding arrangement, which does treat us equally, we received a cut in funding which goes to the formula, and that's a fight we're having with them about how they calculate certain things, but at least it's still done within the basis of equality. The productivity just make a recommendation that said we should change the formula entirely. The Australian government hasn't adopted that yet, but they asked for that recommendation, so this is getting a bit complicated.
Yeah.
So we're trying to win the fight with the Australian government right now before they adopt that recommendation. So we just had a meeting of all the treasurers yesterday, where we basically are saying as a nation we don't accept that. And so we're in the fight now with the Australian government to not adopt that recommendation going into the next budget. But the GST cut, which is one was made last year, that took $2 billion out of our budget over 4 years.
Yeah.
We made the deliberate decision that we cannot cut services in the NT. So we could have responded to that $2 billion cut by, say, winding back some school services, some health services. But we said, you just can't do that. We have a responsibility, a duty of care to Territorians. We can't cut those services, and we didn't. And we found other ways to absorb that impact. But if they, on top of that $2 billion cut, come forward with one that says we're now going to say reasonable services in Wadair or Yuendamu or Hermannsburg or Tiwi Islands, instead of equality of services, that's going to see a significant reduction in how much money we get from the Australian government. And I don't know how you deal with that. We just can't. That just can't happen. We just can't accept that happening.
I understand. Well, all we can do is wish you the best of luck, truthfully, because we feel a lot of Territorians feel incredibly undercut for what it is. Well, I believe that's as much time as that we have for you today, Chief Minister. Thank you very much for joining us. Any final words you'd like to say?
I hope everyone has a great weekend. It's Mango Madness season.
Yeah.
I hope you catch the $1 million barra.